Chapter 23, The Accidental Empress, by Alison Pataki. In this spoiler part of the chapter, we will be using the questions by the end of the book to guide our discussion. But before we become so orderly and sophisticated, I wanted to tease my co-host Nesma with a couple of questions first, due to her emotional connection to Sissy's story. We post every Monday. Turn the page.
Welcome to another chapter of Between the Pages. If this is your first time joining us on our podcast, welcome. We are your hosts. My name is Nesma.
And my name is Hanim.
We host this podcast together where we review books and recommend books for you to read.
We usually have non-spoiler chapters for those of you who want a spoiler-free review of a book, and spoiler chapters where we simply review the book down to every last detail.
Thank God we have some group guide questions at the back of the book that we're just gonna use as like discussion ideas for us.
Or else we wouldn't have known where to start.
True. I agree with that. Because there's so much to talk about and there's so many ideas to share.
Okay, let's just get because we haven't talked about the book together, like spoilery, before we start. Okay. So I want to take the opportunity of take what opportunity? Anyway, how did you feel?
What, when Andrashi?
No, before Andrashi.
What?
When you knew that Franz was cheating and now she's ill because of him.
Pretty pissed.
Yes.
Very angry. Because I didn't expect it to be that reason why she was sick, you know? And in the book discussion, like the questions that were asked to the author, she was, she said something.
You mean the interview?
Yes. There were rumors, or there were simply some facts during that time why she got sick. Reason number one was that she was just getting sick because of her depression, because of her daughter dying, passing away, and she had like a whole phase in her life where she wasn't eating or drinking, or
malnutrition, and then pregnancy,
and everything. So they said that this was related to that, her sickness. And the other fact is that because he had an affair and he caught a disease, so she caught it from him because her immune system is weaker than his because of her depressing state. Yeah. So I guess she chose that fact to make her novel more interesting, I guess, and to have a larger character development, she said before.
I think she just needed a breaking point.
Exactly.
She can't take this anymore.
Yeah.
And she has to act now, you know?
Yes. Because I think the 4 years apart, it was actually historically correct that they were 4 years apart. The 2 first years were probably because of her sickness. And the second 2 years, I think, were because her marital relations were terrible. And
how could she go back to...
I know. It was so terrible. Like, the story is so exhausting to read.
Yeah.
But I needed to know what happened to her, you know? Like, she's such a, monumental character in my life throughout my whole childhood, and I need to know. In the movies, she did get sick, and she was sent to Venice to recover. There were 2 different, both of the movies have the same reason, because of her...
depression?
Because the first one had because of her depression, because of her son. That was the series. In the series, because she was so angry with France that she sent him to that military school. She tried to get him out of it, okay? And she refused to come back until France gave her the okay that her son wouldn't go to that school anymore, okay? Throughout the whole time she was there in Venice trying to recover from her illness, it was her depression that also kept her from getting better. You know, like her frustration and everything. That was how she got ill. It had nothing to do with her daughter Sophie dying. That was way after, like when she had her
They
son.
switched the
They switched
events.
everything.
That's what I
Everything
didn't
switched.
like about the show when I started was Andrashi was there from the very first episode, and they were saying that he's the one who stabbed Franz. So I felt like this is gonna jumble my head. I'm not gonna go there.
No, I mean,
But yeah,
it's better to watch it. Guess after reading the novel, so you already have the core story in you, and then you can look at the movie in an objective way. Like, no, that's actually not historically accurate. I know what really happened.
Yeah.
You know? But for me, it's shocking because I'm like naive in that, thing because. I know the love story. I don't know the real facts of anything, and I didn't want to know.
because it's so sad.
It's very sad. It's so depressing.
But then it felt good when Andrashi came into the picture.
Honestly, I didn't know that I was gonna like it that much. Like, I was like taken aback by that. Like, I was so happy that Alison Pataki took the twist of the novel and like pointed it into Andrashi's direction, because he is really the one she should be with. But that's what makes it interesting. It's because she can't be with him, That's what makes it like the forbidden love and everything.
Yeah. But other than that, it's how could she ever be with Franz again,
Look, I think throughout a time where you are married to someone and you don't see that person anymore, you get lonely, And because you can be with the person you actually want to be, you crave closeness, I think.
Yeah.
You want to be close to someone. And I think that's how it happened. Like the moment where she asked him to kiss her and he refused. So she was denied of that
yet again
pleasure,
Yeah.
So she went somewhere else to get it.
No,
that's plainly put,
Yeah,
that's
I like how she did it.
Yeah.
Like with his permission and like with an agreement and everything. But how can she?
And she got pregnant again.
Yes.
I'm like, no. Because, okay, before she went back to Austria when she was still in, God, I don't know where that was anymore. I don't know the locations anymore. I just remember where she met France again after 4 years. Where was that?
That was in the summer house, I think.
In the summer house, exactly. Yeah. During that time, I wanted to know, I was like on Google, how many children did Empress Sisi have? I'm like, on internet, really, the first answer was 4. I'm like, damn it! No! She had 3, and 3 are enough. Do not go back there, Sisi. Do not have another child with him. Unless I was like thinking, is she gonna make a scandal? Is she like gonna make her sleep with Andrashi, and then it's actually Andrashi's child? And I'm like, oh no! But her being pregnant actually gave her
another chance of being a mother as well.
No, not just a mother, but if she slept with Andrashi, she's already pregnant, so you can't be double pregnant. It's
True.
Sleeping with him wasn't as scandalous as it could have been, because she's already pregnant. So there's no doubt about it.
But then the novel ended on an unsatisfactory note. Like, this is not the end, and I felt like that's it.
That's how the movies ended, actually. Every movie ended with a coronation.
Coronation?
Yeah.
Of whom?
The first movie ended with the wedding. The second movie ended with something in the church. I don't remember what. And the last movie ended with her being crowned as queen of Hungary.
Yeah.
So that's how all movies ended, actually. And the series as well. The last episode was her being crowned as queen of Hungary, and then the movie's over.
At least it was similar to the movies in that way. Yeah.
Right. Something else that I wanted to mention. I loved how she incorporated the music of the movies into the book.
Yeah.
The Elisabeth Klenge. That was one. and the skaters waltz.
Yeah.
That's another one. And I was like looking up the song. Whenever there's a song mentioned in any book, I look it up and I listen to it. Okay. So I was listening to that song and I'm like, oh my God, that was in the movie. That's probably the only thing from the movie that she put in the story.
Yeah. But Franz and Sissy's story in the novel started really well, even better than the movie. I don't know. I felt like them dancing to the skaters waltz
But I kind of loved the encounter from the older movie.
It was funny.
55. Not just funny. It was her. They met on like a completely human to human basis. You know, there was no court involved. No strings attached. It was just pure two people getting to know each other on a walk in the woods. And it's like so casual.
Yeah.
And so in the movie, there was this part where he met her and he was engaged to Helene.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And they just normally, people on the street, they met each other. And he said something when they were in the woods, when they were sitting next to each other. He said something of the perfect woman that he wanted to have and would never be able to have. Okay, not knowing that she was the sister of the woman he was engaged to.
Yeah.
He said something between the lines of, this is how she would have to look like. She would need to have your eyes, your beautiful hair, your personality. He was hinting that she was the perfect woman he ever wanted to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe you missed that part a little because the translation was awful.
Maybe.
I think the magic is so taken away. The words are like the most important thing in the whole movie and they're messing it up so badly. Anyway, so that was such a beautiful moment. You know,
Yeah.
It was so raw and so...
But I like how they met, not knowing that it's him, and how they kept looking at each other. And it was very romantic. I hate that it went downhill.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get to
The questions.
the questions.
Okay. First question. Though Sissy was often referred to as the fairy queen, this is not your typical fairy tale, in which a girl falls in love with a prince and the two of them live happily ever after. Could Sissy and Franz Joseph have had a happy marriage? Why or why not? How does Pataki's novel take up the notion of happily ever after as it relates to the lives and marriages of the novel's characters? So let's take it one by one, I guess.
Yeah.
Every number has actually several questions. It's confusing.
Yeah.
But it's related to the same topic. So the first question is, could Sissy and Franz Joseph have had a happy marriage?
Yes,
They could have. They could have.
If it just been, if they were the only ones in that marriage, I guess.
Yeah.
Not his mother and not the other courtesans or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, because they connected when they met.
They did. And
They had
it's
a
sad to see how the upbringing of such a man, how he so clung to his mother. You know, ironically, he should find his own voice, shouldn't he? And not be reliant on his own mother. You know,
Yes.
At some point, a man should be able to make his own decisions and see what the right thing is for his empire without consulting his mother all the time, you know? It's not a bad idea, or he shouldn't refrain at all from consulting his mother. No, that's something a son should always do.
But he follows her blindly. He doesn't use his brains.
Yes. It's just, this is the way it's supposed to be in his head. You know, this is how things are done. This is how I always did everything. So please do not ask me to stray from what I know. You know, that's so unflexible and so ignorant.
If he really did love her, couldn't he see how miserable she was of what he was doing?
That is the question.
Yeah.
But he can't help himself, Hanin. He can't help himself because he is the way he is. So no matter how much he loves her, he still has a duty to his countries. Because it's not
about the empire stuff. It's the personal stuff. Like of their babies, of how they spend time together, of what she knows.
The problem is you're talking to someone who is utterly convinced of the rules he lives by.
Yeah.
So it's hard to change that, you know? So I don't know if they could have really had a happy marriage.
And like, that goes into the question of how does Pataki's novel take up the notion of happily ever after as it relates to the lives and marriages of the novel's characters. Basically now, Franz is the villain in the story, so there is no happily ever after.
No, there's no happily ever after.
And happily ever after is when they fall in love and find happiness with other people. So that's how differently she took the concept of happily ever after.
She took it and crushed it.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, everyone wants to see happily ever after with Sissy and her emperor. Nope, not gonna happen.
The thing is, Sissy was very happy before all of this happened.
Before even having France in her life.
Yes.
No, she wasn't truly happy, actually. She was very...
There are things that made her sad, like her mother
and her father having affairs all the time, and
Anyway.
Next question.
When Sophie learns of her son's intention to marry Sissy, the Archduchess has this to say. She is not fit. It is as simple as that. She's too young, a child really, too giddy, unable to fulfill the role and all of its obligations. What was it about Sissy that made her, in Sophie's eyes, not fit for the role of Empress and wife? Was Sophie at all correct? Why did Sophie prefer that her son marry Helen? Thing is, Sophie was so amazed by Sissy when she met her. She even wanted her to be
I know. I was so surprised by that.
So where did that come from? I think personally that Sophie saw something strong in Sissy that would threaten her control over France that she suddenly wanted to back out of. That. Even though it is something she wanted initially. You know what I mean?
Right. I didn't think about that. Her fear of losing control of her son, a person that she's always had control over the years of his life.
Yeah, and when Franz actually fell in love with Sissy and not just accepted her as like dutifully, you know, that threatened also their relations.
You know, ironically for Franz, someone who believes things are done the way they are, someone who didn't take Helene as his wife, the woman his mother chose for him.
And it is the way to have the first daughter in a family and not the second.
Yeah. So he can break the rules if he wants to. He just
what happened after that? Was it a one-way ticket or something? A one-way thing?
I don't know. I think he just followed his heart, and then at the end, following his heart isn't something he usually does. It was just in that moment that he actually did that for like the very first time, and he thought, okay, now we can both go back to the way I really am.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like now that that's over, back to square one.
Back to square one, exactly. I guess she was a little, because Sissy was resistant all the time to accept the norms. I think Helene would have been more submissive, and she would have listened more. I guess I don't think that would have made her a better empress. I don't think Helene would have accomplished all the things Sissy did, because Sissy's so rebellious and the Hungarians are so rebellious themselves. They could relate to her. You know, she found like the fire that she needed in the Hungarian people. You know,
and I mean, if marriage is a way of finding home, then she found home by marrying Franz and being Empress or Queen of Hungary, in a way.
Hungary, yes.
So in that way, she fit. Yes.
Yeah. So I think Helene would have been more on the sidelines. She wouldn't have like interfered in politics as Sissy did. She would have been very quiet and just did her job, giving France an heir. And I don't think there would have been much of a connection between France and Helene. And I think, honestly, he would have had a much comfortable life with Helene because there would have been less conflict.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have tried or like fooled himself into loving her. Maybe he would believe that he loved her, but he didn't. But it's like, you know, خلاص, he's married to her, so I'll just try.
Or maybe his mom would be on his side actually in this marriage, so she would try to make them happy together since she's in the marriage anyway.
Yeah.
But let's imagine that Sophie like is good, and she like the well-being of Sissy was in her concern when she thought she's not fit, and she saw it coming that Sissy wouldn't be happy. So in that way she would be correct. But other than that, Sissy is actually perfect for a rigid world like this.
Yes.
To
move something,
yes.
to get something together. Because without her, she wouldn't have gotten the countries together as the way. And that is what she's famous for throughout history. She's the reason everything got moved, because people loved her with their hearts. They truly loved her, you know?
Yes.
Like, they were convinced that she was this amazing person to follow. And there's no reason that we shouldn't love her, you know?
Yeah.
And I really, really hate the fact that Alison Pataki put that in her novel, that the reason why France accepted the deal with Hungary to be independent but still acknowledge him as the emperor, so they can have like their own decision-making thing where they can be more like in charge of their own future. So I hated that she made it a sexual thing, like they slept together and then he agreed to do it. Not the right motivation for it, because in the movies, I know I'm keep referring to them, but it's like in the movies he loved her, he respected her decisions, he believed that she knew what was right, and he stood by her in all the decisions that she took. Like the scene that I showed you before, where Sophie, the Archduchess, insulted Andrashi at the ball that they were invited in, and Andrashi wanted to leave in protest. Sissy did something that was out of protocol and asked that the women choose who to dance with, which is not custom. The men usually choose who to dance with.
Yeah.
So in that moment, Sophie came and asked her son, like, what is she doing? Are you just gonna let her do this without interfering? He said that I trust Sissy. I still don't know why she made this decision, but I'm pretty sure she has a perfect right to do it. Like, this is what I was expecting in the novel, you know? And this is what I didn't get.
And this was the first time he actually listened to Sissy in the book.
But why did she have to make it like, okay, men only have to be satisfied sexually to listen to you? You know,
it's not that. I think it falls under the idea that France is basically a man animal to have like had affairs when his wife was in that state, and so it follows that he's basically an animal. He's weak, you know.
I think, it is related to that. And I think it's also related to him being denied of his wife for such a long time. So when he finally had her, he was like, finally, okay, she loves me again. I'll do what she wants so I can get her back, type of thing, you know?
Maybe.
And I hate that it was that motivation. You know, I want it to be pure convincing and pure love.
Yeah, he finally believes in her.
Yes.
And like sees that he's wronged her.
Exactly.
And
yeah, like in the series, however, at the beginning, he also resisted her advice all the time. He kept telling her, please do not talk about politics with me. It's not your place. Let's talk about something else. And then throughout time, he realized her influence on the people. And instead of ignoring that, he used her as a tool. He could see the power she has to make a change, you know?
Yeah.
And he actually, in the series, you'll see he'll take her into council meetings. He'll take her in. The men in the meeting, they'll startle at first. They're like, wait, a woman in the meeting? And they're like, what is she doing here? And then he's like, no, I need my wife by my side at all times. And this is one of those things that I need her by my side as well. So there was this character development on France's side as well.
And it went bad only because of the death of her child? Well, what happened in the series?
I don't quite remember. I think it was related after that. It went downhill when he went to war. She was completely against it. There was like this deal they had with Napoleon, and Napoleon betrayed them. So when he betrayed them, France declared war on them. So Sissy was against that. They had a big fight, and then after that, during that time, it was also with her son in the military, and there were like scenes as well where her son was being dipped in cold ice water with his head pulled out again, and then put in ice cold water and then out again. So it was like dramatic scenes of like trying to save her son from military school. You really have to see it. Like, please finish it.
Didn't feel them. Okay.
I don't care. You just need to see. So anyway, after that, that's where she fainted and got sick. So that's the timeline in the series.
Yeah.
Completely different from the novel. Next question.
Okay.
As eager as she is to marry Franz Joseph, Sissy quickly becomes overwhelmed and intimidated by the amount of work that goes into preparing for her new role as Empress. How would you feel in Sissy's situation? Would you be excited to undergo such an extreme transformation? I mean, simply no. I would not be excited.
Well, if only it was different. If she would go in there and she would be in control and have an active role in what happens in her empire, and like if she found court as an exciting thing and not a confining thing, as in because she's in control now, she makes it based on her character, you know. But no, if the reality of it is like that, no. I wouldn't be excited at all.
You know, you just reminded me of the scene where she went to Sophie's chambers. She was in front of the door and she wanted to go inside, and the guard wouldn't let her in, and she kept hearing the voices from inside the room. And then there was this moment where she said, well, my order trumps her order, you know, like over something, over rules.
Over
my order overrules her order. So, and if you get fired, then I'll rehire you. Or better yet, I'll rehire you as the emperor's guard, you know. Yeah. So I was like, yes, girl, take charge.
Exactly. And I guess, like, at the beginning when she was the bride, she felt like Franz was worth it. She had this amazing day with him and amazing moments with him, and she wanted that to go on, and the only way forward was that they marry.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe she felt it was worth it then.
I don't know. It was
to undergo all of this.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I personally wouldn't choose it.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, you only find out who someone truly is in our culture, similar to their culture, is that after you get married. Like, there are these little things that you notice, like, once you start living with the person.
Yeah.
I don't think there's, like, everything that you can find out during the time of being engaged. It's difficult. But, like, the true personality comes out once you start living with the person.
Yes. And there is this sad phenomena is when we get married, things basically stop. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's not exciting anymore. I don't know. It's that, like, we're excited through courtship, and then, خلاص, we have each other.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. Story's over.
Yeah, but I realized the fact of like not wanting to be royalty. Like I very much wanted it through reading royal fiction and Disney movies, watching Disney movies. But then I read the Royal We. Don't remember the name of the author now. It has a second book now, but and then I saw all the hardships. It's in like modern time. I saw all the hardships the heroine went through, and I thought, why? And she kept even asking herself, is he worth it? Like, is he worth through this? Like, part of what made me dismiss the idea was that she even let go of what her dream career or something, just to be the wife of the crown prince and do charity stuff, and so I felt like, but this is part of who I am. I would be giving it away, part of what I like to do with my life. So yeah, and that I became an adult about the idea, not naive, I mean, mature about the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, not كذا, like, the balls and the friends and the gowns.
I mean, just like The Crown, the series, it's not as glamorous being queen. You have to make all of these tough decisions. You feel like you're not up to the task,
Yes.
like, I'm just a woman over here.
Yeah, and not even that, not the decisions. She can't make a decision.
Yeah.
She's just like the hard thing, like the bad thing I learned is that
Well, in the UK, they have a different system.
Yes, yes.
It's different. Like, the emperor, you literally make all the decisions on your own.
I mean, like, the thing I learned was in the show that it's not subjective. Like, she doesn't make something based on what she thinks is right. It's just, she's just there as an image.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, wow, why?
Why? Why on earth? Anyway, next question. Your turn.
No, it has German on it. You read it.
All
German
right.
in it.
In it. All right, I'll read it. On their wedding day, Franz Joseph turns to Sissy and says, Repräsentationspflicht. Repräsentationspflicht. Keeping up the front. That's what this is. We play our roles today. In what ways does Sissy resist this requirement of life at the Habsburg court? Why does this job requirement bother Franz Joseph less? Would Sissy's life have been easier if she had just accepted how things are done, as Sophie and Franz Joseph so often urge her to?
Well, let's look at Sophie and Franz first. Franz was born into this. Sophie needed this. Like, needed to have this court to, like, put her son in place as an emperor, and, like, that's basically her lifeline. Sissy had a very different life. She saw another life,
Exactly, yeah. She was more free to do the things she loved, and she wasn't, like, confined to do all those weird little things, like
wear gloves to dinners and
change your slippers every single day. Like, you can't wear it more than one day, I think, something like that. Wear gloves to dinner and lunch, and what else? There were, like, I think there were, like, showering arrangements as well.
No, that was only in the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was only in the TV show.
But that's also a part of history, I think.
Really?
They would only shower during certain times of the week. They couldn't shower every day.
No wonder they invented perfume.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That's why they did that.
And also Sissy...
And that's why they also invented...
wigs.
Wigs. Because they couldn't shower.
Ah.
So they wore wigs. Because their hair would turn disgusting.
Wow, that's an interesting fact.
You couldn't style it anymore. Because it was
better
so gross.
Be under wig.
Yeah, under a wig.
Also, Sissy saw... What was I going to say? Yeah, she saw a different, a more humble way of ruling. of like being there for the people, the love of the people, the needs of the people, you know, and peace.
Yes.
She didn't see it as complicated or sophisticated as Sophie and Franz would like to make
True.
it, as
Yes.
much as they would like it.
Yeah.
While Sissy bristles at many of the customs and rules of her new life at the Habsburg court, perhaps nothing upsets her more in her first few days than when she discovers that Sophie has had her red slippers thrown away. Discuss this moment. Why do these tattered red slippers matter so much to Sissy? What other moments were difficult for Sissy in her adjustment to life at court?
I guess here in this situation, the tattered red slippers, as they say, represent her old life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Sophie throwing them away represents a form of disrespect to her, to the life that Sissy lived.
Mm-hmm.
Which is silly, because I think Helene would have encountered the same thing. I don't think it's related to Sissy personally. I think Sophie would have done this with any wife that came into this position.
Or especially wife from that family, because she looks down at them somehow.
Yeah, which is weird, because why would she choose then from that family? Why couldn't she choose it from another family if she looks down upon them so much?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's not the question we're trying to answer. I think here, the thing is with Sissy is that she's persistent to want to live the way she wants to live. You know, she holds on to that idea so much. And I think she's the type of person who, like we've seen already, she suffocates when she doesn't like do those little things, you know, like to get to do those little things. If she had let her keep those slippers, I think it would have made her like Sophie a little more. And if she likes Sophie a little more, maybe there would have been more harmony between them.
Thing is, they liked each other so much
At
when
the
they
beginning,
met.
yeah.
But
True.
I don't think that if Sophie,
They still would have clashed once she had
Yes.
taken the babies, I know.
but not that only. If Sophie made it clear that out of choice she left her the slippers, maybe Sissy would have found it as a good kida.
Thing to
yes.
hold on to.
But what if just Sophie left the slippers? Then Sissy wouldn't know that she's leaving, that she has the power to take the slippers away. You know.
Right. I guess.
But the other difficulties she faced were... Where is it?
What other moments were difficult for Sissy in her adjustment to life at court?
Well, a lot more.
The whole novel?
How she couldn't be with Franz. The lack
children.
of privacy. The children, of course. The gloves that she hated so much at meals. How confined she felt, and what else was she other than a breeding mare,
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, technically, that's her only job.
Yeah, at that time. Yes.
At that time. Speaking at that time. Yeah. Not anymore, people. Do not get offended.
Which I guess takes us to question number 7 of what is the most difficult aspect of Sissy's life as an empress.
Ooh, yes. What is the most difficult aspect of Sissy's life as empress? We said giving birth. I said giving birth to an heir because it's such a difficult task. Like,
yeah, it's out of her control.
Yeah.
She can't make...
It's out of her hand. Like, how would she control this? She would just have to keep having babies over and over again until it's a boy, you know?
Yeah.
So, and that has a toll on a woman's body.
Yes, and to hear that She's nothing without having an heir.
Yeah.
What?
Like, you're useless here. We could replace you just as easily if you do not provide the
and we
emperor.
would be in our own rights. Like,
Yeah.
but I think
Terrible. You said another. What is the most difficult aspect of Sissy's life as Empress?
it's like, as Sissy, not being able to participate in politics at the beginning, not being able
Right.
to actually be an empress and do things, you know,
Yeah. Make a change.
make a change. Yeah.
Because that's not why Franz married her. You know, that's the problem. He married her just for pleasure, marital pleasure, and having someone to talk to, and like
About
a spouse,
anything
you know,
other than
other than politics.
his life, basically.
Yeah. Number 8. Franz Joseph often finds himself in the middle of the conflicts between Sissy and Sophie. How does he do at navigating the tense dynamic? What might he have done differently? Were you in any way sympathetic to Franz Joseph?
Were you in any way sympathetic to Franz Joseph with the various pressures he shouldered in his roles as emperor, husband, son, and father? Well, all he kept doing was whine about it and justify everything he does, every bad thing he does on that, the pressure, what he's carrying on his shoulders. And
Yeah.
really?
Like, you would never understand.
Seriously, just
Try. Give her a chance.
yes,
She's
let
not
her carry
stupid.
this weight with you.
Yeah. Actually, in that regard, I think Sissy is so much better than Helene, you know, like
Yeah.
with the politics. Sissy's so much smarter. You could see at the beginning of the novel the way she stood up to her brother, Carl, I think was his name. And she stood up to him and fought him and said, she even ordered Helene around to do something. You know, like, it was Sissy the decision maker, Helene the follower. You know,
Yes,
so
the strategic.
Yeah.
The strategist.
yeah, Helene was like frozen. What do we do?
Yeah.
You know, Sissy was like, no, we fight this. We show him what we're
Yes,
capable
and
of.
even when she became introduced to court, she navigated them so well. Like,
Yeah.
she knew what to say and how to charm them without like anything.
She was clever though, surrounding herself with foreign ladies.
Ladies in waiting.
Ladies in waiting, foreign, because of her bad experience of being surrounded by spies and they reporting everything to Sophie. So she wanted to have like allies, so people that she could trust in her inner circle.
Yes.
Plus, I think it was turning into an obsession later on, where she felt like she couldn't trust anyone, just her inner circle. And when she even came back to Schönbrunn,
She wanted just
she
Hungarians.
wanted just an inner circle, not a lot of people. And even when he said, I want to hire an extra person to do a lot more work for you, she's like, I'll consider it. She didn't even like, she was like, no, I'll think about it. It wasn't
Yeah.
something that she was eager to have.
Yes.
She was like really just only the necessary people, and those necessary people need to be foreign.
And I guess she was older then. Like,
Yeah.
at the beginning, she was, yes, basically a child. That went through so much. Anyway, back to the part where how Franz was navigating that dynamic. I
was
think
very-
he did it with disrespect to
Yes.
both women, his mom and
Sissy.
Sissy, by even like, don't bother me with this.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about this. Just be friends and leave me alone, you know? Not even thinking and looking at the situation.
like, he's basically saying, just smile and be pretty for me. Don't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 9.
Sissy feels dislike for Andrashi. Funny thing, I used to read his name Andrasi.
Andrasi.
I was like, who would name their child that?
Andrashi. Andrashi.
Sissy feels dislike for Andrashi before she even knows him. How and why does her impression of Andrashi change over the course of the novel? Did your impression of Andrashi change throughout the book?
Oh, it definitely did.
Yes. No.
I think the only thing that made her like him over the time was Goethe. Goethe quotes.
Yeah, the poet?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
his love for theater and Goethe and poetry and writing.
thing is, he could speak her language of abstract and dreaming of things and wanting things to be better and like being brave enough to want things. Unlike Franz, who was so strict and only spoke of rules and facts and what should and what shouldn't as if it's holy, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Number 10?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the novel, Pataki has chosen to intersperse the chapters with scenes from the Budapest coronation of 1867. Why did the author choose this final scene in particular to intersect the rest of the novel? What did this one moment mean for Sissy as Empress, as a wife? Oh, my screen closed.
As a wife, as a mother, as an individual. That frustrated me. I wanted to know what was happening, you know? And it was clever of her to do that, but I was confused at the same time because while she was so in love with Franz, why would she cheat in the future, you know? Like, I thought she was cheating. With that scene, like, because there were moments when she was in referred to him and he, and we didn't know who he was, and clearly he's not Franz, and like but I think that was the turning point in her life. That was where her life actually started to be her own. That's why this moment was important to the Empress. Like, this is when she was finally going to be a mother to a child from the very start. She had a man who sees her, and
I think
as an Empress, she accomplished the unaccomplishable, you know?
Yeah. This was... oh my God, I can't believe this brings me back to this. But this reminds me of Anna Karenina. Okay? Because in Anna Karenina... in my research paper, I wrote that the way she took control of her life was by cheating on her husband. You know, she was just like Sissy. She was confined. She wasn't able to do anything. She always had to listen to her husband. Her husband was strict. Everything was about facts. And the way she broke out of that prison is that she fell in love with Vronsky, Alexis Vronsky.
Vronsky.
I'm still swooning. I'm still swooning. So the way, I think this is the same for Sissy. The way she takes control of her life and of her own happiness is by actually following her heart. And her heart, at the moment, leads her to Andrashi. So, in a way, she has become so independent, you know, throughout the novel. Even though it's in an immoral way and it's not the correct way, she still manages to find happiness. And I think that is very courageous of her to take that step, you know, because it could really ruin her reputation if people find that out. Because we know from movies, from novels, from references that when a man has an affair, he's applauded. He's applauded for it. And when women have an affair, their reputation is tarnished literally for the rest of their lives. This was also an occurring theme in Anna Karenina, and now I realize how similar they are.
Sissy grows more and more consumed by her physical appearance as the novel progresses. Discuss this aspect of her personality. Does her beauty regimen become a true obsession, or is it more of a diversion? Does it make Sissy less sympathetic of a character to see her becoming so vain? No, I actually pity her.
I pity her. No, she doesn't become vain. Oh my God, no, never.
It's her... Actually, it became her coping mechanism and her way to get back at her husband. I'm going to be all pretty in front of you and you're not getting any of this.
Yeah. That's literally why she did it. Plus, I think it was...
because of her illness, she was so ugly for a while and she couldn't she couldn't look like that anymore. You know?
She didn't want to look like that ever again. And I think that's her fear. Plus, I think it's... high functioning anxiety with a mix of OCD and a little depression. You know, she has everything in there. She has everything in there.
So I guess, yes, it's definitely an obsession and not a divergent. It's not yes, maybe it's a divergent because she passes time with it. Yes, on years, and she spends the whole day basically doing her hair and...
No, and like through the second half of the novel, you see her eating less. You see her indulging less in things that made her happy before. You know, she would sit for hours making herself ready. She didn't do that before.
No,
this was something that she was very important to her.
Yeah,
like later after that. And I think one of her things that she was also scared of is becoming pregnant again. You know, right, because of her body was so thin and so fragile,
and her malnutrition that couldn't help her.
Yeah, so I guess that answers the question. Number 13. Sissy was an avid horseback rider, considered by many to be the best horsewoman in the world during her lifetime. At one point in the novel, Sissy tells Andrashi, "I've never found a horse that could run fast enough." Discuss what riding means to the character of Sissy throughout the novel. Through what other diversions does Sissy escape? Oh, I love this question. Discuss what riding means to the character of Sissy. I think it means for her escaping, because being like riding a horse, I think it feels free.
Yes.
And
it's like flying in a way.
It's like flying, like, yeah, true. Yeah. I think it makes it I think when they ride horses, I think they even wear different dresses. I don't think they wear corsets. I think they wear something else.
Yeah.
During that time, so it's less confining. She can breathe a little better, and I think it's also related to the feeling, you know, like the fresh air and like
the strength, like holding on to a horse and the control.
Exactly, the control over the horse.
Yeah.
Wow. Through what other diversions does Sissy escape?
When she was normal, Sissy.
I think her obsession is how she keeps herself busy.
Yeah.
Trying new ointments, making herself recipes for her skin.
Yeah.
I think it's something that she's very busy with all the time. When she was the older Sissy, I don't know what was it that she always used to do. Read books? I'm not sure about that, because she loved Goethe and poetry and all that stuff.
Being outdoors, basically.
I think journaling was also one of her things.
Yeah.
No, she did that after, I think. Ooh, next question.
If you could pick one character from The Accidental Empress with whom to spend a day, which character would it be and why?
Oh... It's either Sissy or Andrashi. Maybe one of us takes Sissy and one of us takes Andrashi, so we know what it's like.
No, I'm going to pick Sophie.
Sophie?
I want to give her
a chance to speak?
No, not a chance to speak. I want her
piece of mind.
I want to give her a piece of my mind.
Yeah. I would never want to meet Franz, for goodness sake. Who else? I think I'd want to meet Sissy just to give her a hug.
Yeah.
It's like, it probably won't get better, but you know.
We're here.
We're here for you. I think Andrashi would be intriguing because I think he knows his way around women.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I loved that scene. I loved that scene where he was like, even if you do not know the dance, it is my job as the man to lead you, or something like that. I'm like, lead me, come on.
Yes. And when he danced Hungarian folklore or something, that was hot.
I know, right?
No, yes, come, I'd spend the day with you dancing and watching you dance.
Last question. Consider the two epigraphs at the opening of the novel. Why did the author choose those two quotes? What other quotes are significant throughout the novel?
Let us
we need to go
another
back.
Look at them.
You need to have another look at those.
Like thine own seabirds, I'll circle without rest. For me earth holds no corner to build a lasting nest. The
Wait,
second
where
one
was that? Where was that?
is the epigraph before the second one.
Oh, the epigraph, yeah.
So quick, bright things come to confusion. Ah, from Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think the first epigraph speaks of how she didn't find a home with Franz, maybe. Like a place where she can rest and be herself.
This is so sad.
And grow and like lay eggs.
This is her own poem that she wrote. Remember, this is the poem that Andrashi read from her journal. When he asked her, what did you just write? And he asked her to read it. She was like, it's nothing that will impress you because I'm not a good writer. But he was like, let me be the judge of that, you know? So he read this out loud, I think. Like, thine, O seabirds, I'll circle without rest. Like the seabirds, the ones you see at the sea, like they always circle.
Yes.
Never rest. For me, earth holds no corner to build a lasting nest.
She feels suspended. She's neither...
She doesn't feel home anywhere because even her parents at the end when she was like
they told her she has to be with her husband.
Yeah, they kicked her out. So quick, bright things come to confusion.
And also it feels like she's not going anywhere.
I think she holds on
stuck.
To the second quote, so quick, bright things come to confusion, because it was when she met Franz at the beginning, it was quick, it was light, it was like heaven at first, and then
the fairy tale aspect of falling in love at the first sight on
literally on their wedding day. He said that Repräsentationspflicht, we have to represent ourselves and it's our duty to do what we have to do today, you know, on their wedding day. On their wedding day. So that's why she's holding on to this, probably. So quick, bright things come to confusion, because her relationship with Franz was so confusing. Like, he loves me, but he doesn't fight for me. He doesn't want to make me happy, but he still says he loves me. So it's like confusing for her. Like, do you love me or do you love me not? You know, it's like confusing.
I loved that moment with them. Yes, I've been meaning to ask you, and I wanted to tell you about it.
Okay.
When you were reading and weren't there yet. When they had a fight and he was playing the piano. It was after her first child was taken from her. And she went to him and she was like, let's not fight again or something. Or maybe that was about the politics thing. I don't remember. And she was like, I love you because you're the man who plays piano for me. And I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, I loved that moment when I thought there was still hope for them. Wait, actually, let me see what I highlighted in the book. Ooh. The novel act of kissing a man struck her at first as slightly odd, but the longer she rested her lips on his, the more pleasing the strange new sensation became. Wow, I highlighted this. Okay.
Good one.
Perhaps now that she had confessed to her own feelings, she was less desirable to him. But that certainly didn't seem like Franz, did it? Then again, did she even really know Franz?
That is a very good question, my dear. Wait, I'll see if I highlighted anything as well. I probably did, I just don't remember.
How, she wondered, was it possible to ache for a life with someone so badly when, just days earlier, she had not even known him?
Okay, I have this quote here. Always she was performing. It grew so exhausting that at night, alone in her cabin, as Sissy peeled off the painful corset and slid her feet into her familiar red slippers, she wept. She wept from exhaustion. She wept for Possenhaven. She wept for her childhood bed and Nene's comforting presence and the servants she had known since birth. servants she had been forbidden to bring with her. She wept for the carefree frivolity of a ride on her horse in a simple gown and dirty leather boots. She wept for the lenient, easy manner of her parents, a style entirely opposite of that expected by Aunt Sophie. She knew it was foolish to weep. She, the luckiest girl in all of Europe, had no right to weep. She, who had won the heart of the kindest, most handsome emperor, ought to feel only joy. And then I wrote this note. I was like, even though she found true love, she found it at a great cost. She has all right to cry and feel this way.
Yeah.
Like,
yes, she lost so many things, but that's what I was saying when...
And, you know, this is also reminding me of, what were their names again? Wallace and Edward. I want to say Edward.
Yes, Edward.
You know, they were living out the greatest love story of their time.
But at what cost?
It was so difficult.
Yeah.
They were, like, miserable all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So things like that come at a great cost.
Yes. You will lose and sacrifice so much to be with someone as important as this.
Mm.
And that takes the fairy tale out of it, or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was Sissy's quote that she wrote in one of the letters. The world is so empty if one thinks only of mountains, rivers and cities. But to know someone who thinks and feels with us, and who, though distant, is close to us in spirit, this makes the earth for us an inhabited garden.
That was to Andrashi, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
in one of her letters.
I mean, where is this Franz in the quote I highlighted here? He says, Sissy was telling him, I take his books and my poetry books, and I go out of doors, and I can happily pass an entire afternoon on a patch of sunny grass. He answered, how lovely that sounds. I can just imagine you doing it, Cousin Elizabeth. Still, he looked at her. I should very much like to do the same. With you. And I highlighted with you as in, I like that it's a new sentence on its own, like...
Yeah.
And he did nothing of this. He just spent that day with her on the mountain, and he gave her nothing romantic after that. He just became a completely different person.
Mm-hmm.
So where is this? Like, here he wanted to do something with her that she likes.
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
What? All just empty words. And then there's this quote that Andrashi read to Sissy. To be loved for what one is, that is the greatest exception. The great majority love in others only what they lend him, their own selves, their version of him. This is the true measure of love, when we believe that we alone can love this way, that no one could ever have loved so before us, and that no one will ever love in the same way after us.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. I was gonna cry.
It is. You know, when I read this, I realized, yes, everyone's love is unique, and we shouldn't make it mundane and a normal thing. Like I said to myself, okay, I'll know if I'm in love if I feel this way, you know?
Yeah. And I love how Alison Pataki described this, like, short line. Her heart hurled itself at her ribcage as he read on. I'm like, hurled itself. I'm like, what? But I love how she's using such a strong word, you know?
Yes.
It's like, as if her heart would, like, literally
push
go
out of her
chest.
Like in Tom and Jerry, we're like,
yes. Exactly. So that's literally all the quotes that I highlighted.
Yeah,
I didn't
too.
highlight much while I was reading because most of my reading was audiobook.
And it's sad. I didn't want to highlight anything more.
Yeah. And one more thing, people, before we close off the episode, it's Sissy, not Cece. Okay, please. I ask you to say Sissy, not Cece.
Cece.
Cece, that's our president of this country. We're not going to mention that name. Sissy is the Empress. Two different things, people. Two different things.
My aunt is a Sisi. Her name is Samia, and we call her Sisi. So I guess it's the Egyptianized
Sissy.
And like Bardo, Lily, we call it Lily here. Like
Lily.
Yes, like my niece. No, not niece. My cousin as well. Yes, my cousin. Her name is Laila, and they call her Lily. I'm like, and I'm the only person who calls her Lily, and they're like,
Lily.
Okay.
Lily. And there was another nickname that as well bothered me. That was Helene. First of all, in the German, it's Helene. But that's fine. Helene, Helena, that's completely fine.
With an A.
Nene.
Nene.
It's
Nene.
No, it's Nene.
Nene, like I said.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Nene, not Nene. Okay. In the audiobook, the woman kept saying Nene. I'm like, what? Like the dance, Nene?
I didn't know there was a dance that.
I know you're not that type of person. It's like all over like TikTok or YouTube videos or something.
Okay, so I've never.
I know you don't. I know you don't. But maybe the people that are listening they know what I mean, like the Nene dance. But it's Nene. And that's all we have to say, people.
Yeah. If you have anything to add, we're be definitely listening or reading to what you have to say in the comments or social media accounts. Yeah.
On YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. That's where you can drop comments, I think. Other than that, everything is just listening.
Yeah, sadly.
So
you can email us, of course.
But I don't think... Yeah. So we'll see you in the next episode. And... Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for making it to the end of this chapter. If you have read The Accidental Empress, what did you think of it? And if you haven't, is it something that you would like to read? Let us know. You can follow us on our social media, Facebook and Instagram, where you can even get teasers before the new episodes come out. For next chapter, we chose a local artist, Sara Islam, who has published her first poetry book. We're excited to have our first poetry review on our podcast and can't wait to share it with you guys. We post every Monday. Mark the page for chapter 24.